The decision I took to fully expand our energy infrastructure was not politically expedient or desirable. Indeed, the decision was quite unpopular. But leadership and popularity are not the same thing. And every so often in the course of leadership, one has to make decisions that are neither popular nor politically expedient. Such was the case during the 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa. As president, I took the decision to allow Ghana, specifically our capital city Accra, to serve as the base of operations for the United Nations and other relief organizations and efforts for the affected nations. There was anger and outrage and accusations that I was exposing our country to Ebola, that because of my decision, the virus would surely find its way across our borders and result in the loss of Ghanaian lives. But the alternative, to turn our back on our neighboring nations in their time of need, especially as the world was taking its time to respond, would have not only been insensitive, it would also have been inhumane. Having Accra to be the command post for humanitarian help during the Ebola crisis was not a popular decision, but I still maintain today that it was the right thing to do. Much in the same vein, my administration's decision to permit entry to 2 former Guantanamo Bay detainees, as well as some refugees from Rwanda, Syria, have been met with fierce resistance. I realize that our world is going through uncertain times. I realize too that no nation wants to open its door to terrorism. Still, we cannot let the fear of what might be cloud our compassion to make us turn a blind eye to the very real need that exists in our today's world. There are people who no longer have a country to call home. People who have been cleared of charges of all alleged crimes, and people whose only crime is being born in a country whose name is now automatically associated with a group of insurgents terrorizing their fellow countrymen and women. My brothers and sisters, Ghana has had a long history of humanitarianism. We've had a long history of being counted as a leader, not only on the African continent, but also in the entire international community. In 1960, Ghana became the first African nation to contribute troops to a UN peacekeeping force. At the time, peacekeeping was not fashionable, and many feared the dangers of inserting their troops into a war situation. In 1961, Ghana became the first nation ever to receive volunteers from the newly established Peace Corps. Throughout the years, Ghana has provided shelter for many freedom fighters and exiles. Long before the world's nations collectively declared the system of apartheid an abomination, Ghana was issuing passports and a place to call home to those who were fleeing the racial injustice and persecution taking place in South Africa. People such as Maria Makiba and Hugh Masekela enjoyed this protection. When Nigeria considered musician Fela Kuti a criminal and a troublemaker of the highest order, Ghana offered him a home. During the 2 decades that civil war engulfed our sub-region, we accepted thousands of refugees from Togo, from Liberia, from Cote d'Ivoire, and at the time, for many Ghanaians, it was a point of contention. They believed it would make us too vulnerable, that it might somehow move the war onto our soil. And though it was not popular, the various administrations back then made the decision to grant refuge to those individuals because it was the right thing to do. Ghana has even gone so far as to offer Africans in the diaspora, as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, the ability to gain citizenship and live permanently on our soil as a result of the passage of the Right to Abode law passed by our parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, fear is a powerful motivator. That's the purpose of terrorism. It tests our commitments to who we are, our very principles, and it tests our ability to stay true to our own history. Ghana is our homeland, but we can never allow ourselves to forget that we are also citizens of a larger world, one that depends on the coexistence and cooperation of all nations in order to achieve true peace and stability. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Our human compassion binds us as the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into a hope for the future." Quotations closed. And there are many reasons for us here in Ghana to have hope for the future. There are reasons why we can hope that the future of our country is bright. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your kind attention and your willingness to listen. And I end by saying, may God bless you and God continue to bless our beloved homeland, Ghana.